What's up, folks? Welcome back to the stream. It's Tuesday. We're getting tactical. Just did a very embarrassing thing just happened to me. I was getting all sorts of error messages from YouTube, and so I hit go. So there's like 2 steps to start the YouTube live stream, which I kind of appreciate. It's way too easy to go live on Twitch sometimes, but you have to stream to the YouTube server, and then you have to actually go live in the event. I clicked go live in the event, and it came up with a bunch of errors. So I refreshed the page, and they went away, but apparently it never actually brought me live. So I was literally sitting here talking to the camera for about 2 minutes with just no one able to see me. But anyway, we're live now. It's all fixed, hopefully. Hopefully nothing else goes wrong. This always happens every time I go to live stream an event, because I disassemble the whole kit, and then sometimes I run into like connection errors and stuff when reassembling all my audio and video devices and things like that. It's all very finicky, chat, but I think we fixed it. Yeah, so I'm glad only Inky is here to make fun of me for talking to myself for introing in the stream. Oh my god. I gotta get off my OnlyFans stream. Dude, if I was on OnlyFans, I'd be making, I don't know, appreciable money, hopefully. Alright, chat. Well, it was a big weekend for competitive 40K. We have lots to talk about. Lots and lots of big events went down. The Iberian Open, the Battlefield Birmingham, the Rocky Mountain Open, at least several major level events, and at least one, I guess it's almost a super major. I guess it's kind of a super major, the Rocky Mountain Open. So we have lots and lots of lists to talk about, lots of results to peek through. And yeah, I guess the most interesting one is going to be these Grey Knights results, right? Because they kind of came out of nowhere. I think everyone has sort of been, I don't know, everyone's kind of aware of the fact that Grey Knights are pretty good. They're very good at scoring points, which is sweet, but they haven't really had that like sort of burst of success that people are expecting from them. And we're starting to see it now, and I think it's really been a result of the January FAQ and the Nemesis Dreadknight changes. The one thing that's interesting about the faction is that it overlaps so closely with Hypercrypt Legion. They're basically the same army, right? They both have like lots of anti-infantry shooting, shoot and scoop mechanics, like full army uppy downies, 3-inch deep strikes. They're basically playing the same game plan. And you would expect that everyone teching against a list of that popularity would also impact Grey Knights. But I think the fact that Grey Knights can fight, I don't know, have a little bit, they're much different of a plan from a turn-to-turn basis, because they're not necessarily, unlike Necrons, they're not just committing and taking objectives and then standing there. They have so many more reactive effects, and they have pretty good volume shooting as well. Necrons are probably better at doing damage, but are a little inconsistent, and I think Grey Knights aren't quite like that, which has maybe kept them going. They also have some interesting counterplay to specific sort of bad matchups and stuff. Like they actually have answers to Phobos librarians and things like that other armies might not be able to. Everybody gets to teleport. It's true. Yeah, they definitely got to glow up. They were already like fairly effective, right? But I think you had to be in a specific situation. You had to be fighting an opponent where like the 2 damage AP2 profile didn't just like get wrecked. So you're running into damage reductions and stuff that didn't really care about your Brotherhood Terminators hitting them, and they just fell apart in those situations. But now that they actually have like a reasonable shooting platform with these Nemesis Dreadknights, they're doing fairly well. So yeah, we saw. I talked about one Grey Knight list yesterday on the Monday video. So if you want to check that out, you can do so over there. But we also saw Manny Chima go 5-0 at Battlefield Birmingham with Grey Knight list that's very Nemesis Dreadknight focused. Look at them all, chat. There are so many. The other one we talked about on the Monday video was a little bit more of a well-rounded list. It did bring the one Redeemer, and then the rest was Nemesis Dreadknights, and then sort of normal stuff, Strike Squads and Brotherhood Terminators and stuff like that. This time we're kind of doing some meme list. We're like replicating some meme list energy over here. Triple Land Raider Redeemers. 5 Dreadknights is what we're playing, and that's the list. That's it. Print it. That's crazy. That's insanity. But like I said in that video, the Land Raider Redeemers gave something that Grey Knights didn't really have access to before, and that's just this unit that could just sort of stand on the table and not really care about people nearby them. They're really good at Overwatch, which Grey Knights wasn't really particularly good at. And you were normally expected to jump on the table, steal objectives, score points, and then Mists of Deimos somewhere else later on in the turn. Whereas the Land Raider Redeemers just hold down objectives and then Overwatch you to death. And the list itself is such a huge, 2+ save, high toughness skew that there's going to be a lot of armies that if they're not keyed into killing super heavy vehicles, they won't be able to maybe they can knock down the Dreadknights, but they won't be able to knock down the Dreadknights and the Land Raider Redeemers. And you have a good enough profile into a wide variety of matchups with just massive numbers of Incinerators and Heavy Flamers everywhere that... we have the big shooting and the melee, of course, on the Nemesis Grandmasters to kill the heavy vehicles. And then we have tons and tons of anti-infantry shooting, either, up to through heavy infantry with the Flamestorm cannons, with the Redeemers that you're basically good at answering a variety of profiles. Interesting that this list doesn't have too many utility units, but it does have the characters. We have some Inquisitorial Henchmen as well. And I think you can, in a pinch, just do your secondaries with Nemesis Dreadknights if you really, really need to. What makes a Phobos Librarian a terror? So the Phobos Librarian, if he's attached into a unit of Infiltrators, he gives them basically lone operative. It's essentially the same effect. They get stealth and you can't shoot them when you're outside 12 inches. And because the Infiltrator unit also says that you can't set up within 12 inches, there is no way for a reserving enemy to attack them on the turn that they arrive. So you just can't do it. You can't be within 12. You can't attack them from outside 12. And if you're outside 12, you can't charge them. So if you're coming out of Deep Strike or Teleport Assault or Hyperphasing or Strategic Reserve, any of those things, you cannot attack that unit. Full stop. Done. Until there are ways to get around it. You can wrap an Ingress, and then you can move the next turn and stuff like that. But obviously that doesn't help you in a lot of instances. And Grey Knights do have ways to get around it in that they can use Librarians to mortal wound them. Now, they have a Psychic Hood, so it's not perfect. Actually, I believe they have a Psychic Hood. I should verify that. I believe that the Librarian protects them from psychic attacks. But I'm going to double check that just in case that is a rule on the regular Librarians. But either way, they do have a Feel No Pain baked in from the... Yeah, they do have a Psychic Hood. So they have a Feel No Pain against it, but at least you can do something, right? And you can whittle the unit down with multiple Librarian activations and actually finally get rid of them. But otherwise, you don't really have a way to deal with that unit, which is really good. Very, very good. Yeah, it covers a big part of the board as well, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think with, honestly, Infiltrators are already good. Infiltrators at the Phobos Librarian, still strong by themselves. Just having a unit that can sit on the table, is uninteractable, and you can just hang out there, is just generically not a bad thing to have in your army. And the fact that they also really destroy a lot of really popular matchups right now is really important. We saw them at the beginning of the edition when Genestealer Cults were everywhere, but now we're seeing uppy downies kind of all over the place, and I think they're actually really, really valuable. So yeah, anyway, this is a pretty straightforward list. We have 3 Tech Marines to buff up the Dreadknights and repair the Land Raiders, and then a bunch of Dreadknights. And that's it. That's what's going on. Pretty good stuff. Easy peasy. Small board plus increasing army size plus dense terrain. Nobody can move without teleporting. That's not really the case, but okay. It is actually far easier to move large units in 10th edition than it has been in the last 2 editions, I think. The ability to move through other friendly units and to move over low terrain features, 2-inch terrain features, has made it so that large vehicles, instead of being stone unplayable in the vast majority of situations, are actually palatable now. The thing that makes teleporting really strong is, I mean, there's a lot of favorable mechanics for it, right? Like, you can rapid ingress now. You could never do that before. Tactical objectives force you to be flexible on your positioning, which obviously is helpful if you have a reserve effect. And also, they've just included the ability in way more units than ever had it before. Being able to up down in previous editions was, first of all, not that useful because you didn't have tactical objectives, but also was like almost unheard of. It was very rare. And now basically every army has access to at least one unit that can do it. If not, an entire army-wide ability that can do it. So I don't think it's just necessarily like a requirement. You have to teleport to move. No, not even close. You can play 7 Land Raiders and put them on the table and just run them around. Easy peasy. All right. Well, that's a good discussion out of the way. Let's see if we have any undefeated lists that we want to dive into that I didn't cover on the Monday video. Rocky Mountain Open was obviously the big one. We had lots of undefeated players. I talked about both Blood Angels and World Eaters. Shout out to Zach Kerstetter's Blood Angels, by the way. This list rules. It's 25 Death Company, 2 Assault Intercessor squads. Let me tell you, chat, who would have expected that Assault Intercessor squads would have won like a super major, even at the start of 10th edition, but through 9th edition, those things were a joke since they were released in the starter. And holy crap, are they good now? The combination of the Sons of Sanguinius detachment benefit on top of the captain's finest hour, and then rerolls from the Assault Intercessor squads means that this little dude kills the world. That guy will fight God and kill him, as long as God is touching an objective, of course. This combination, it's 155 points for a unit that will kill basically anything in the game, is super good. It puts the captain up to... I can't remember if the current version of Finest Hour gives him a strength bonus. At the very least, he goes up to like 8 attacks. Survey says... I have to, like, especially with Space Marines, I have to stop referencing old data sheets because they are not as good. Yeah, it's just +3 attacks. I believe it was the other version gave you +3 strength, but the index version. So, but he goes up to strength 10 on the charge. You can buy him Lance for a CP, which I believe is a right to battle, so you can do it for free. And you can duplicate it, and lethal hits. And then the Assault Intercessor squads are giving them rerolls. So 8 attacks at strength 10, devastating, with wound rerolls. Oh, and lethal hits, just in case. Just in case you need it, lethal hits too. 80 points of character, chat. Space Marine captains, ladies and gentlemen. What a profile. Good stuff. What I didn't talk about is the tied games at the end. Looks like Cody Giroux and Colin Rugsager tied at 90 final round. That is an insane result. That's absolutely nuts. The number of like really high scoring ties we've seen in the last couple of weeks has been a lot, which is kind of cool to see because it means the games are really strong. What's God's points value? I don't know. He's like 430 or something, probably. He's like a Titanic guy. Don't like how everyone can teleport now? I actually disagree. I think the teleporting adds... So the problem with movement in 40k is that if you are not a like move 12 vehicle or something, you might as well be static, right? It's so hard for you to get anywhere in 5 rounds. just because like moving 6 inches across a 60-inch table means like it takes you 10 rounds of movement to get from one side to the other, right? And so it's difficult to interact with the other side of the table, right? Other table edges, and adding, repositional effects and the ability to move more quickly is like allows people to skill express in interesting ways that would not be available if all everyone could do is move 6 inches, if that makes sense. And especially because it's counterplay, right? You're not, with teleporting, you're not just moving infinitely. You're moving infinitely with a bunch of restrictions that your opponent is allowed to impose on you. Meaning that as soon as abilities like that are on the table, both players, like there's a second level of game that both players have to play. Oh, I have the ability to teleport. Are you going to respect my ability to teleport? Are you going to screen my teleports? Are you going to screen my rampant ingresses? Am I going to use rampant ingress in an interesting way to plan ahead for future turns? And I think all of that stuff just makes the game so much more cerebral and so much more interesting. All right, let's jump into some Drukhari chats. We are running a Sky Splinter Assault with a Phantasmal Smoke Archon. What is that? Am I an insane person? Is Phantasmal Smoke like the last like points filler enhancement that I never looked at? Because it's not Nightmare Shroud. That's the other one. Phantasmal Smoke. Oh, yeah. All right. While Bear's unit is wholly within 6 inches of a friendly Drukhari transport, you get benefit of cover and stealth. Cool. Yeah, I guess we're filling points with that one. All right. I mean, I guess that's fine. We've got an Archon of Nightmare Shroud, so please don't shoot me with Overwatch. S'il vous plaît, allow me to attack you. A Phantasmal Smoke Archon, which we just talked about. 3 Beastmasters, because they rock. 2 Cabalite Warrior units. 1 Raider. Double Venoms. A Court of the Archon. Triple Chronos. Double Incubi. 1 of 10 and 1 of 5, which is interesting. 2 Mandrakes. 2 Scourges. There he is. Look at that guy right there. And the old Tantalus. So, we don't have Sadistic Fulcrum, interestingly. Wonder if we... Yeah, So that was the combo that we saw a couple weeks ago, right? Using the Tantalus. You use Sadistic Fulcrum. When you empowered the unit, you got hit and wound rerolls, and then you could empower the transport. And then you used the Stratagem to hop back in, I believe, is what we did. That's, I guess, only if we are in melee. Yeah, either way. We could double empower, basically, both the Archon's unit and the transport. The benefit there is that you get the Archon's ability, so you get full wound rerolls as well, whereas normally you wouldn't do that if you were just using the firing deck on the Tantalus. Yeah, so it can firing deck the whole unit out, so you can empower them, but you're not empowering the Archon's unit. You're empowering the Tantalus, which is taking their weapons away, so they don't get wound rerolls at that point. But the benefit that Sadistic Fulcrum has is that you can do it anyway. But that's, I think, like, mostly fine. Mostly, you just want the efficiency of being able to, like, supercharge, like, a vast swath of your army for 1 pain token, right? Because we're firing 12 2-damage attacks out of the Tantalus itself, with rerolls from a pain token, and then the Archon is attaching to a Cabalite Warrior squad. This transports the entire thing, so you get the transport, or you get the Cabalite Warriors with all their heavy weapons and stuff, plus the Archon, plus the Court of the Archon also gets empowered. So you just got a lot going on in that transport. So you're firing just a billion times with a variety of profiles. Pretty cool. But then we have Venoms for the... A Raider for the big Incubi. A Venom for the little Incubi. And then the other Venom just takes a combat squad out of the second Cabalite Warrior squad, probably. because it can split them into two. So you get a unit to sit on the table and sticky objectives by itself early game, or just act as a reserve. And then we have a bunch of other dudes. Plus 3 Chronos. I think a lot of the Sky Splinter lists have gone down to 1 Chronos just to regenerate CP or pain tokens a little bit more often. But the 3 is pretty cool. The army tends to split a lot, I think. So I've seen that Chronos get outranged pretty quickly. So having multiples definitely makes sense. Volker's on the Beastmaster. Oh, is it? Shit. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, you're totally right. That's cool. All right, that makes sense. So we do get a little bit of splits there to empower the Tantalus. It's just a little bit. You got to jump through more hoops. What do I think about Corsairs? Like in general, or I don't believe I've looked at them for the entirety of the edition. I do not remember what they do. Take a quick look, I guess. There's a Void Scarred of Scout. They're basically just Farstalkers, I guess. They get a ignore cover. They can change a saving throw to 0. Lethal hits of precision against a specific enemy. Okay. And then the other guys. But you have to take 10. Oh, you can take 5, I guess. But they're 18 points a model. Too expensive, I think, is my first impression. Void Reavers get full hit rolls against enemies on objectives. But they don't really do much with it. It's kind of exciting, I guess. And they also scout. Yeah, I mean, I guess Void Reavers are okay. You don't get all the cool fancy tech, but you're a relatively cheap scouting unit, which is all right. But I think there's just better ways to spend points in Eldar, to be honest. I think if you compare these guys to a unit of Shroud Runners, how much are Shroud Runners? Yeah, 10 points more for Shroud Runners, and you get another scouting unit with a similar like attack volume. You don't get the heavy weapons, obviously, but you also get a support effect for the army. I think they just get outclassed, to be honest. I don't know, kind of my feeling. Although, as not an Eldar player, I don't know if that's entirely the right takeaway. All right, let's keep diving into some lists. So we also saw the other tie game here from Colin Rugsager playing Necrons. It's a Canoptic Court. So I think this looks like the list that, or a similar list to the one we talked about. It is actually taking some ranged attacks from the Doomstalkers. So it's not entirely focused on the Catan Shards and Canoptic Wraiths. Inky might come to join. Hi, baby. Wanna come visit? Come say hi to chat. Yeah? Are you gonna come up or no? There she is. Hi, chat, she says. Hello. Chat, look at the kitty. Oh, there she is. Yay. What do you think about the relative power level of Canoptic Court versus Hypercrypt Legion, Inky? She's like, I don't care. All I want to see is the Nightbringer. That's my favorite Catan Shard of all of them. Because of her black coat. Alright. So, we're taking the 2 character Catan Shards. Plus triple or double Technomancer, excuse me, not triple. 1 Dimensional Sanctum, 1 Hyperphasic Fulcrum, plus a Transcendent Catan, so 3 total Catan shards, an Acanthrite unit plus triple Doomstalkers, just sit in the back and shoot real good. 1 Tomb Sentinel, the Gloom Prism, it's kind of cute, plus 2 Canoptic Wraiths. So we're taking Doomstalkers in place of the 3rd Canoptic Wraith unit and the 3rd Canoptic Wraith unit, basically. Then we get the Sentinel too. So pretty similar to the list that we've already been seeing. And yeah, I don't know. Has a little bit more shooting, so it's a little bit less one-dimensional. Although the benefit of the other variety, so the other one normally is taking 18 rates instead of 12. And then another unit of Acanthanthrites, I can't speak, I guess, Acanthrites, is that it is a really, really strong defense skew.
Your meme list video edits are the funniest 40k content I've ever seen. Please never stop doing them.
Henry Pete, thank you for the super chat. Bad news about the meme list video edits. Yeah, people didn't like those. So I've transitioned the series a little bit. I think in the future they're going to be a little bit more sedate and just present information, I think. Which is, I did one on the Tempestus Ion list a couple weeks ago. Not quite as exciting, but they definitely don't take like 32 hours to make anymore, so definitely another thing. But I appreciate the super chat. Thank you, sir. And I'm glad that you like the videos. I'm glad someone does. Although that's I think a relatively uncommon opinion. I liked them. I thought they were great, but I'm biased. So, yeah. Anyway, yeah. So I think the other benefit that you have is that you're just presenting a solid wall of 4+ invulnerable save and 5+ feel no pain, and it's tough to get around that profile, right? Like it blanks so many defensive mechanics or offensive profiles that. It's hard to find a solution for it, and it's a lot of very, very efficient wounds at that value. I mean, the Catan shards alone are a little controversial for their points value right now. Plus, Canoptic rates are fairly efficient too. It's not unbeatable. Its OC is like kind of middling. It's I believe all the rates are OC too, so they're good at holding down objectives, but they're not like once they start dying, you actually lose OC very quickly. And there are some lists that are like mass. Kind of like 1 damage shooting, just tons and tons of really effective 1 damage shooting that actually like burns these units out really quickly. So you have to have the right profile to deal with it. All right. Oh, we got Chaos Demons at the top here. Okay, Inky, are you gonna sit in front of my screen? All right, well, I guess that's fine. I was playing Helldivers the other day, and she kept sitting directly in front of exactly where my targeting reticle was, which is amazing. I love that. Thank you, kitty cat. You're the best. All right. So this is Nicholas Wanker over here, X1 at Rocky Mountain with demons, but I'm on a demons kick, so we're going to talk about them. Although this list is kind of what is to be expected from demons right now, I think, for the most part. I don't know if there's too much exciting happening here. We have Be'lakor. Great Unclean with Endless Gifts. He's got the good to good feel no pain. A Lord of Change with the Everstave because he rules. Shalaxi Hellbane as well as the Mask of Slaanesh. So we talked about the Mask of Slaanesh recently. The technology there is that we actually have to look up what she did, but she's got a psychic power at the start of the fight phase that lets you provide -1 to wound to an enemy unit that is attacking. Not that one. And you can sit her in a position where it's almost impossible to get her to engage, or the opponent to engage the Great Unclean One without going within 6 inches of her. It's not perfect because if they if they under-roll their charge, they can potentially engage the Guo without touching the aura from this Mask of Slaanesh. But in that case, they'd have to not base you, and then they're not consolidating probably, or piling in probably, so they don't get that many attacks. So, or they most of the unit probably is not going to be in range to engage, I guess. They get to pile in because the ability triggers after the, before the pile-in happens. So they can pile in, they can be outside of it and then pile into it and not get affected. But if they hit their charge on the money, then they have to base the grid and clean one. And there's literally no way for them to get around this. Plus, if they don't know about it, there you go. Or if they're a big unit and they can't get around anyway, then get wrecked, I guess. Absolutely pooped on. So she's kind of an attachment, I think, to the grid and clean one. And between a 4+, feel no pain, and that ability, very little is killing that dude in melee. Very, very little. We have a ton of Nurglings to do actions, some pink horrors because they're really good. Come here, you. Oh, some plague bearers to steal objectives away. Plus 2 units of seekers for their scout move. So I guess that's kind of normal stuff. There's not too much exciting going on over there. Ow. Jesus, with the claws, girl. Oh my god. Let's have some Genestealer Cults at 4-1, which is cool. One Biophagus with inscrutable cunning, so he infiltrates, plus a Clamavus. Again, it was more. The Clamavus has kind of a lone operative effect, because you can use this stratagem on him to make him a lone operative when being shot at. Right? You can't do that. Yeah? That's not funny targeting, is it? And he himself has an anti-deep strike, a deep strike denial aura. So he's another good piece of counterplay to the deep strike meta, I guess, right now. I don't know why I'm looking at his data sheet. That doesn't help me at all. It is called One with the Darkness. Yeah, it's just infantry units. So you can either include the Clamavus in a unit. The weird part about his deep strike aura is his deep strike denial is that it's only him. It's not his unit. So fortunately, you can't attach him to 20 dudes and make them all prevent deep strike. But it does mean that if you attach them to a unit, there is a potential that they are 9 inches away from someone else. And still outside 12 inches of him. So you can't protect him. But if they're by themselves, there's actually no way for them to do that. And you can potentially use the stratagem to make him unshootable when enemies drop in like that, which can keep your anti-deep strike denial alive for a while. We then have triple Primus, to give hit rerolls. 2 Reductus Saboteurs. 2 units of 10 Acolyte hybrids with demo charges. 3 units of Neophytes, 2 of 20, it looks like 1 of 10, plus an Aberrant squad. So we get the Aberrant, the forward deploy Aberrant squad. Oh, and a Piercing Genestealer unit. Cool. So a little bit of additional... I guess the Genestealers don't forward operate, right? They're just very fast. Yeah. Oh, they infiltrate. Oh, excuse me. No, they do. So we do have a lot of forward operation because we have the Reductus Saboteurs. They're not quite as exciting up in the front, but they are there. We then also have the Biophagus. He can forward deploy his whole unit, and he's going to go in with the 10 Aberrants. So we have 2 characters plus 10 Aberrants. Plus, we then get 5 more Genestealers as well who can fight little baby screening enemy units. And that opens up the way for stuff like the Acolyte hybrids to jump in with the Primuses on them, which then vaporize you with demolition charges. Good stuff. I don't know. Classic Genestealer Cult fare, but seems like a pretty good list. I'm glad that we're back to character-focused Genestealer Cults, because I know for a while there's been kind of like this push away from the characters or towards more like patriarchs, I think. And now that the Pure String Genestealer's got a points cut, but that means that the shooting like alpha strikes the Primus-led units are able to do is not in the list, and those ones. They just, I don't know. The Primus inside the unit is so dangerous because they have like sustain, ignore cover, plus 1 AP from the Ridge Runner, and then they're full rerolling to get additional sustains on their weapons, which means that their expected damage is just astronomical on those guys. And that's what I'm always scared about when I'm playing against them. But I think they do legitimately get hit by the deep strike, like the prevalence of anti-deep strike effects inside lists right now, just because they are having to get Acolyte hybrids up close and personal to their opponent to get the demolition charges on point. And if you have a, Phobos Librarians or a bunch of like trash screening units, those Acolyte hybrids aren't going to get anywhere, and it's sad. It's a big sad times. It was an inky mission. Yeah. Indeed. A little everybody's a little cat break. I got some Tyranids up in here too. Invasion fleet. Just Death Leaper and a Neuro Tyrant. No Hive Tyrants. I wonder if that means that we're playing Emissaries. 3 units of Gargoyles, 1 unit of Termagants to hold down objectives. Double Lictor, double Neuro Lictor. Cool to see Lictors back in the table. I think one thing that gets overlooked on the Lictor datasheet, and I don't know, they're so hard to justify in a Tyranid list, but they're so good when you play them. It's a weird unit for that reason. Like you'll never not get value from a Lictor, right? But they're competing with so many other units in the same spot. Like what Tyranids are not hurting for is like small. Why can't I find the Lictor's datasheet in the Tyranid index? What am I doing? Oh, it's right here. I don't know why I couldn't find it. What Tyranids are not. They don't have an invulnerable save anymore, by the way. This is old datasheet stuff, but everything else I believe is the same. What Tyranids are not hurting for is like small utility units that jump in and do actions, right? Because everything in the faction does that. That's all they do. But the Lictors themselves are so good at fighting over the midboard, right? They're first strike, like AP2 precision weapons. So they like randomly kill characters out of units. They don't really die. They're like T6, 6 wounds. They don't really die to like trash infantry. Strength 3 stuff doesn't kill them really. Like Space Marines might eventually in melee, but you'll probably chew through a couple units of them before they get there, unless they're kitted for melee and they have power fists in the unit or something. And the other thing that I think is really important about them is this pheromone trail ability, which I think it's overlooked, right? Because you want to infiltrate them and hold down objectives and score early game secondaries. A lot of times what you're doing with that is you're getting that with the Neurolictors. But the Lictors themselves being able to rapid ingress for free is really cool because it gives... It forces your opponent to like pre-screen really garbage idiots, right? Because if they let a Lictor loose in their backline and it just starts killing all their backline objective holders, like you can actually like dramatically flip the game state. They're also, I think, especially good in Invasion Fleet because they go from having kind of an inconsistent melee profile, like they just perfectly don't kill like 5 base infantry on average, to being having much better time doing that because they probably get sustained against infantry thanks to the Invasion Fleet detachment ability. So they're converting all of their attacks mathematically, theoretically, into wound rolls, wounding on 2s, so they probably get 5 through, and you're passing your opponent 5 saves. And if they have a 5+ armor save, then they just die, right? And they just lose 5 dudes straight up right there. And if they're a 5+ armor save character, like a Genestealer Cultist, right, they just explode. These guys were, when Genestealer Cults were like top of the meta next to the Eldar, Lictors were like a fucking nightmare for that army. They did not, they wanted nothing to do with Lictors. Because once they got engaged in melee, they couldn't really do anything. Genestealer Cults had very little way to interact, or I guess still do, a very little way to interact once they're engaged. So they're attacking the Lictor with a bunch of Strength 3 melee attacks, and the Lictors just kill all the characters inside their units. And so they were like perfectly situated to single-handedly defeat Genestealer Cults, which is cool. So it's cool to see them back. That's what I have to say. We also see some Raveners for good uppy downy, like nice fast melee unit right there. Raveners, I think, are still okay. They're just more anti-infantry attacking, which you really don't want in Tyranids, really, but it's fine. They have an uppy downy, which is good. Von Ryan Sleepers for some more first striking infiltrators. Triple Exocrine, double Maleceptor, 1 Acid Spray Terrain effects to hold down the middle and get a Feel No Pain. Just sort of chill for a bit. So I think Yeah, we're focused a little extra on utility. We would often see, I think, in place of like the Termagants and a bunch of these utility stuff, we would see Carnifexes and Old One-Eye to add a little bit of additional punch. But we've swapped that out for a bunch of stuff that can operate in the midboard or in the back line, which is cool. Pretty sweet. No Primus on Acolytes who've native reroll ones. Well, I mean, when you're throwing a ballistic scale 5 weapon, the rerolling ones usually doesn't really get you far enough. I think the Primuses are good in either Acolytes or Neophytes, right? I think in that list we were just looking at, there were more of each individual unit than you could attach 3 Primuses to anyway. So you're gonna mix and match depending on the matchup that you need them to. But the Acolyte Primuses do like insane no damage. The problem is that they die way more easily. The Primus itself dies way more easily than they do in the Neophyte squad because they're next to your opponent, 3 inches away probably, right? But the amount of damage that you get out of demolition charges in that instance is super duper disgusting. Ryan, did your Dona go through? I don't believe so. I have not seen it, sir. I'm sorry. Leapers are there for screening World Eaters and Orcs. Makes total sense. Especially the melee factions, like really aggressive melee. Orcs, I think especially, they want nothing to do with Von Ryan's Leapers, right? Because, like, you throw a bunch of Orcs in, like, they'll probably kill them, but you lose at least half of a boy squad going into the Von Ryan's Leapers initially, and that just means that you get vaporized by the next thing to go into them. World Eaters are a little bit tougher because they have better armor saves, and Von Ryan's Sleeper's AP is not great, but the Orcs are just like, do not want, thank you. Parking them in front of a Land Raider to start the game, that's pretty good. Very strong. A little dangerous with Redeemers, obviously. Redeemer probably would just kill them. But, if you like plug holes in the middle of the table so they can't run through, that's also super useful. Oh, prevent the scout move with World Eaters? Yeah, that makes more sense. From 8-bound and Invocados. Can y'all hear Inky? She's tripping out right now. She's having a day. Well, Frank, congratulations on your 5-1. That's a phenomenal result with Tyranids. I appreciate that. This is the Genestealer Cult list, by the way. Top 10, I guess, at Rocky Mountain. Good stuff. Should we peek at some of the other events, chat? I want to dive into the Iberian Open because I don't think I didn't give it its due. We talked about Grey Knights a little bit. We talked about Manny's Grey Knights, but I also want to point out too that the second biggest event of the weekend also had Grey Knights not only first place. This is the list I talked about in the Monday show, by the way, but they also had them in second place as well. The top 2 cut was just a Grey Knight mirror. They had such a good weekend, kind of out of absolutely nowhere, which is, I don't know, kind of sweet. It's nice to see them doing well. Pretty good. Javier Pino went 5-1 with Space Wolves Ironstorm. Space Wolves Ironstorm. That's cool. What? And it's like actual Space Wolves. It's not just Ironstorm, but we took Fenrisian Wolves. There's Hounds of Mordecai in this list, chat. What is this list? I love it. Dude, leave it up to Spain to come up with cool lists. To be honest, I feel like Spain is like a I don't know. They make cool lists over there. So we have a Master of Machine War Combi Weapon Lieutenant, kind of a classic include, plus Ragnar Blackmane. So he gives advance and charge to the unit he's attached into, which is sweet. A Target Augury Web Tech Marine, normal stuff. 2 Assault Intercessor Squads. So we may see Ragnar attached to one of those. He also hits like an absolute freaking truck, by the way. Space Wolves are so funny. Oh my god, Inky. They play so often in either Gladius Task Force and or in Stormlance that they don't need Ragnar because their army is advancing and charging anyway. And they also have such a glut of powerful melee characters that they kind of just, he's like, you know, he's tomatoes and tomato soup, right? Where he's just like an extra dude. But like, look at this dude's weapon. He gets +2 attacks and strength when he charges. So he goes to strength 8, 10 attacks with sustained 1. Like, what is that profile? This dude costs 90 points, and he attacks 10 times. And then you attach him to an Assault Intercessor squad, and this is why I said, when the Assault Intercessors first got their buff in the January data slate, I was like, guys, Space Wolves freaking love this unit, because their characters, you know, characters like Ragnar have just such a ridiculous melee profile that once you add wound rerolls on top of them, the only downside is that it's only strength 8, only strength 8. This dude will kill an entire Space Marine squad by himself, but he's only strength 8. So once you get him wound rerolls, he's actually really good into vehicles too. And suddenly, like, the dude just minces the world, right? Plus, he gives you advance and charge, so he's also good at delivering himself. Ragnar Blankman's nuts, and he does not see enough play. I'll die on that hill. We have an Impulsor, potentially for him as well, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I know, Inky. I should turn my background music off because we have the dulcet tones of my cat in the background. Yeah, you want to come hang out with chat more? No, you want snuggles, but it's not snuggle time. 2 Ballistic Dreadnoughts, double eliminator. Oh, okay. We have Instigator, Bolt Carbon, Eliminator squads. So I talked about this combo on the Monday video, but we're probably doing Eliminator squads plus the Impulsor. So the Impulsor might just be there for show. For the elims. Federation Wolves do actions. Hounds of Mordecai, Infiltrators, Double Repulsor Executioners. I believe you can actually, if you wanted to, you could embark the Assault Intercessors into the Executioners, because they kind of play up close and personal anyway, given the fact that you want to get their 24-inch range guns in range. I've spoken, I think, at length of why the Repulsor Executioner is so silly in this attachment. But they want to get kind of close to you to shoot their 32 small arms shots, which means that they're probably a pretty solid delivery system for the Assault Intercessors anyway. We then have double Scout Squads, Wolfen, Kyria Draxus is in the other Assault Intercessor. Is that right? They're the only other battle line? Kyria Draxus. That's so funny. What? Does she go in the Impulsor? Wait a minute. Wait, is that good? Hold up. So the Intercessors, I believe they only give rerolls in melee, so I don't think they're really buffing her with their guns. Right? Yeah, melee attacks. They get rerolls if you're on objective marker. But because they're battle line, she can join them, and then she can embark, I believe, into any transport that can accept the battle line unit. So you can put her inside the Impulsor and then shoot out. Although she can only shoot out with one weapon. So it's actually not that good. But she can shoot out with, like, her silly Tempest thing and get lethals on it. I don't know. Is that good? It's something. There's something there. That's so. I mean, you could also just include her because she's really strong. Like, I don't know. Kyra Draxus is unironically just a good character, so we don't know if we need to combo her out. But then we also have a Calidus Assassin for uppy downies and some Wolfen. I saw it. It's always funny because I see some Space Wolf players talking crap about the Wolfen, but the Wolfen, man, They're in every Space Wolf list right now. They're just so efficient. You're like, oh, would you like a unit of scouts or this unit that attacks a trillion times with 2 damage melee weapons? I don't know. Inky has a lot to say about Ragnar Blackmane. Have you seen her? She's related to Ragnar Blackmane. If anybody has the last name Blackmane, it's that cat. Make you look to see if your cat was making the noise. No. Very few cats I think make as much noise as Inky does. She loves talking. She just loves talking around. Meow, 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 meow. Yeah, this list is cool. Hans and Mordecai are a trip. It's always like kind of fun to see those guys in the make the cut, because I don't know, they're kind of one of my favorite units. It's like the only time that Reavers would ever see play, I think. They force a -1 battle, or they force a battle shock chest. I think that's pretty okay. And you give -1 to hit with psychic weapons. And they have an invuln save against psychic weapons. Yeah. I don't know. They're just a fun unit. They got 6-inch scout. That's pretty good. And they got devastating wounds on everything, which is also good. That's like kind of the reason that they're there, is that good devastating wounds. For a hot minute in the index version of the codex, when they got wound rerolls against everything with Oaths of Moment, you actually saw big 10 model bricks of Hounds of Mordecai, because they would go in, they would have 40 attacks with full hit and wound rerolls, and they would actually kind of they would average, like, you know, whatever, a bunch of devastating. So they would trick you for like 8 devastating or something against basically any target, which was just really scary. A little bit less so now, but still solid. All right, well, this list is a trip. I enjoy that. Congratulations, Javier. We also see some Noble Lance happening. Oh, this list rules. Yeah, so we're kind of doing a we're over to Imperial Knights now, with, I don't know, this guy. And we're kind of doing our best Chaos Knights impression with Imperial Knights. And I think it's really interesting, because the two are not dissimilar these days, like War Dog spam versus Armiger spam. You get better long guns off the Armigers, because the Helvrins are significantly better than Executioners. Is that the one? The War Dog variety? Warclaves are not quite as good as Brigands and or Carnivores, really, at all. But you get the floating rerolls and everything, so you get just trillions of rerolls. Plus, you get access to both Imperial Agents, which is, at worst, a side grade from Nurglings, I think. But also, like, you get lots more lone operatives and stuff for reasonable points cost, which is already good. And you get Canis Rex. So you actually get a big knight to take over the middle. You lose out on getting, obviously, the Battle Shock stuff, but also that other thing that you do, the Knights of Shade. But you're harder to kill because everything's got Feel No Pains baked in, or is faster because you take the speed improving Oath. So you win some, you lose some. I mean, I think Canis Rex is absolutely insane. He's super good, and just having him backed up by a trillion Armigers just makes total sense. And then we also get some lone operative and henchman guys to do secondaries. Seems good, chat. I don't know. I don't have much to say about this list. It's just cool that Imperial Knights are kind of like actually seeing success aping Chaos Knights. Although it is a little bit sad. You wish the big guys were better, but I don't know. I think it's maybe okay. Inky's a catterbox. Indeed. This is the result of the Bondsman buff being nerfed. Yeah, you no longer have any impetus to take the big knights. because the bondsman, like, you're taking 500 points, 600 points of units in many cases to affect one model with a bondsman buff. And you're like, great. To affect the less effective model in the duo with the bondsman buff, which is like, what the heck? I think like maybe you would see that more often if bondsman was an aura or something, or affected multiple armatures. But the fact that it's like, choose one crappy armature to get buffed, it's like, I don't care about that. I don't want that. It's fine. Then, yeah, you don't see those big guys anymore. Although I think, to be fair, the other reason that we're seeing these lists come out of the woodwork is that getting floating rerolls, right? They have master artisans now, essentially, and getting those on 8 or 10 armatures is effectively like 20 command point rerolls every turn, right? Which is just nuts when you think about it that way. Like the attack efficiency coming from the thermal spears is insanity. Super good. If Imperial Knights could get a 5+ invuln in melee, that would really help. Yeah, I don't disagree. They do fall apart pretty quickly. Although they have the baked-in feel no pains everywhere. Like, you're already running this, like, defense skew, and then having every one of those armatures basically be 2 wounds higher than what it says in their datasheet's, like, pretty good. It's definitely not that bad. Should we dive into some custodians, chat? We haven't really talked about custodians. Although, real talk here. Alfred Phobos is playing Custodes and not Vanguard Spearhead. Are you kidding me? Alfred Phobos? You should be ashamed of yourself, sir. Put some Phobos librarians in your list there, my guy. Oh, he named all his dudes, though. That's cute. I love it. So he's got triple blade champions. Okay. We're coming out of the gate strong today. Triple blade champions, 2 units of 5 custodian guard, 2 units of wardens, Venatari custodians, Alaris custodians. So we probably see Trajan in a custodian guard squad, a blade champion in a custodian guard squad. This is what always fucking BCP, man. This is I think a couple weeks ago I like super messed up a Custodes list on my Monday video, and this is why. I don't know what export variety this is. I think it's from the 40K app. But it says, you look at it, it says Custodian Guard, right? 5 and 3. So immediately you're like, all right, so 8 guys. No, it's still 5 guys, but 3 of them have this weapon. And then some other number is equipped with this other stuff. 1 is the shield and Vexilla. 1 is the shield and Sentinel Blade. But it doesn't say 5x Custodian Guard, 3 shield, or 3 spear, 2 shield. It says 5 Custodian Guard, 3 spear, a bunch of other shit. It's so confusing. It's like so stupid. And then this one, you look at it, right, and it's like 5 and 5, and you're like, okay, so there's 10 guys in the unit. You're like, no, that doesn't make sense. You can't take 10 anymore. It's fucking 5 dudes, and they have 5 spears. I don't know. This is the output for Custodes specifically is just like nightmarishly complicated, and I'm gonna complain about it for a little bit. It could be new recruit. New recruit allows you to format lists however the export however you want. So I don't know what format it is, to be honest. I think this is the 40K app, but I don't remember. I can't tell anymore. Anyway, rant over. We're done with that. We got some Alaris Custodians, some Custodian Wardens, Venatari, to double assassins. The Predator Abyssor Assassin. Very nice. Seems good. Just all foot dudes. Fair enough. Not too much to say about those. Everybody's kind of road, I think, at this point. All right. We did push through Battlefield Birmingham a little bit. I don't remember if there were too many other events. I have them noted down that had more undefeateds than we've talked about. Yeah, not too many. So does anybody have any factions that we want to duck into while we're kind of between things? We've talked about the top placers, but we can do a little digging for some other factions. I hope people like the Ides of March coverage, by the way. I was over here at this event this past weekend. It was a little quiet, I think, like just in terms of the venue. It's a sleepy little town in like northern Maine. And also they gave us like a private room basically, so it was a little silent, which obviously I don't think is the best for commentary and stuff like that, but it is what it is. People looking for AdMech? All right, let's dive into some Adeptus Mechanicus. Let's open up these big events and look at AdMech. So we have a 4/2 AdMech from RMO. Nobody showed up at Iberian Open with Adeptus Mechanicus. Oh boy. Anything at Battlefield Birmingham? Battlefield Birmingham. Nope, not good. All right, well, we got a 4/2 from Rocky Mountain. A little submarine action over there. Lost the first round, but went pretty well in the other ones. Cohort Cybernetica, chat. Oh, these Mechanicus players have to stop innovating. Means I have to look up what Cohort Cybernetica does. God damn it. We've probably talked about it at some point. Is this the one? It's not the Data Psalm Conclave, right? That gives everybody Doctrina Imperatives. This is the one that buffs the robots. Oh no, it does. It gives Doctrina Imperatives, but only to the robot guys. Okay. All right, good. Now we know. So we have a Necro Mechanic Datasmith. Who gives you a once per game 0 damage. The good version, it's like Adeptus of the Omnissiah, but for Mechanicus. 1,000,000 Tech Priest Engine Seers. So 2 Datasmiths, triple Tech Priest Engine Seers, and then a Techno Archaeologist for the Please Don't Deep Strike on Me bubble. 2 Iron Strider Ballistari, 8 Castellan Robots. Grab the Castellan Robots real quick. So they get a 4+ Feel No Pain while attached. Oh no, the Datasmiths get a 4+ Feel No Pain while attached, which is whatever. Who cares? They reflect mortal wounds on a 6, and then they're coming in with Punchy Fists. So twin linked weapon skill 4 melee attacks. Yeah, they're just meleeing. And then they have the big heavy flamer. Okay. We're not shooting with them. We're not taking the phosphor blasters. We're all just melee punching people. Double Onager Dune Crawlers, a bunch of Taraxi Skystalkers for secondaries, a bunch of Cerberus Raiders and Infiltrators for forward operation, and then Sidonian Dragoons. Yeah, so I think largely it feels like we're mostly just rocking out the big long guns sitting in the back, like normal AdMech stuff where you're taking a bunch of the real trash stuff to take the middle of the table, and then we're just kind of like actually fighting in the midboard with just big bricks of Castellan robots. And they can get +2 melee attacks. And then the Doctrinas don't affect their melee weapons, which is a little bit sad. But you can give their flamers assault, I guess, which is kind of cute. I don't know. That's a little funky. That is like a I know it's been said to death, but it's like a monumentally underwhelming detachment ability. Oh, cool. We get the army rule on our models, on our expensive models. I love that for me. Thank you. The only hope AdMech have is to play detachments that listed are so crazy your opponent doesn't know what they do. That's like so true. I know what Skitari Hunter cohort does, but I have no idea what any of these other detachments do. Well, I guess I know Rad Zone cohort because it's the original one. But yeah, if you rock up literally anything else from Adeptus Mechanicus, I will straight up I have no idea what it does. No idea. You can get both Conqueror and Protector Imperative. Exciting. What a time to be alive. I guess getting a 6-host Feel No Pain on like 32 wounds worth of guys is pretty okay. So, how many hit points do I have? Are they 6 or 8? Oh, 7. I've just bifurcated it. And then if you lose a robot, you get rerolls. You can also benefit vehicles with +1 to hit, so that's okay on the Dune Crawlers too. And +3 inches of move and +1 to advance and charge, which is pretty okay. They don't have any access to attack, like hit roll benefits though, right? So they're just swinging weapon skill 4 melee attacks. Unless I'm missing something. That's like really crappy. But I mean, it's 6 attacks, twin linked. It's like, it's okay damage. AP2 is a little sad. But 4 of them probably kills whatever they touch. Maybe. Plus, I guess they can tank shock too. So they actually probably do kind of okay damage. And their move, they go to a move 9. Yeah, that's not even that great. Yeah, I don't know. The melee robots, I don't know. It seemed like kind of a meme, but we got there. We got there in this army. I guess it's hard to kill them like once they're there, right? You don't really want to touch them in melee, and they're like, they have a good invuln save. You can give them a Feel No Pain. They're reflecting mortals on you. Yeah, 2+ base armor is okay. Yeah, they're just tanky boys. All right. I guess I can see it. A lot of the AdMech community really wants Cybernetica to work. I don't know, chat. It's the only detachment that did anything this weekend, so maybe it's a good one. I don't know. Sounds like it does work. Gosh, ones have a 2-up save, a 0-up save if they took deployment? Yeah. Plus a 0 damage. Yeah, they're tanky boys for sure. And it's a 6-up Feel No Pain, right, for the strat. It's only a 5-up against mortal wounds, but you're very rarely getting mortal wounded that hard. So yeah, I don't know. They definitely don't go down quickly. They also don't move quickly, which is the other downside. Definitely, it feels like you run out of CP in this attachment a lot because you need to use strats to like overcome the deficiencies of the units that you're taking, which is a little bit unfortunate, but I don't know. I mean, clearly it's doing something, so more power to you, Spencer Dicing. Well, you just have to put the... I mean, it's like for turn 1 and 2, right? You just have to tow like the back edge of the Datasmith into the deployment zone, right? Because that's all you need, right? To get the Doctrina. It's just within. Am I crazy about that? Yeah, it's just within. So if the back edge, and they're only a 4-model unit or 5-model unit, so you get 1x1 coherency. So the back edge of the Datasmith has to tow the tow the deployment zone, and you get the benefit. And I guess also you can you can use the strat? I guess you can't use the strat to get the benefits of both, right? Like, you get the AP benefits depending on who you target, but you probably don't get the... you can't give yourself the AP reduction outside of your deployment zone, right? Yeah, they're both active for your unit. Yeah, so that's the way to get it. All right, chat. I'm gonna call out for orcs. We had a 4-2 orcs at RMO. Orcs fell off of the deep end, man. We had a 4-1 at Iberian Open. Another 4-1 at Battlefield Birmingham. This is a 75-point loss by Leonidas. Leonidas. That's a close loss, actually. Big orc scoring over here. Rockin' Gazgul Thraka, Captain Badrock, Mazrog Scrag Bad. Smash a Knob, Wabanner Knob, Double Warboss. 10 boys. 10 Flash Kits, 10 Gretchen. Some Mega Knobs for Gazgul to jump into. Yep. Boss for knobs for the one of the war bosses joining too, probably. We have a follow me lads guy, right? Yeah, plus movement. Let's go. And then Squig Hogs for the Smash a Squig guy. War Bikers for utility, big battle wagon, and 2 trucks. Relatively normal stuff. Cool to see Gazgul, I guess. That dude's legit pretty good. This is like very Sean Naden, right? I think the only thing that is different from Sean Naden's list is the Smash a Squig knob with the Squig Hog boys. I don't know if Sean plays that guy, but it's a very similar list. Just like you're throwing a bunch of garbage at the wall, and your opponent probably can't deal with all of it, and whatever gets to him kills him. I appreciate that it's not all vehicle-oriented, though, so we're not just, like, putting everything into dedicated transports and stuff and hoping for the best, which is probably still really strong, but also kind of lame. Just a lame way to play. Joel Davis, also playing orcs over here at Rocky Mountain. Got a Squigosaur, Badrek, Mazrog, Smash a Squig, 1 Warboss. Hey, there's the spice. Gargantuan Squigoth in this one. Let's go. Double Gretchen, some Knobs, some Squig boys, Storm Boys, and War Bikers. So we are probably just dumping the knobs into the Squigoth. I mean, I guess you can put whatever you want in the Squigoth. The truck's also a good... there's the truck or the Squigoth can accept the flash kits fairly well because they can shoot out the top if you need them to. They don't get Badrux bonus, but it still protects them while they're shooting because your opponent will just try to kill that unit immediately as soon as they're on the table. But the Squigoth being like sort of degenerately unkillable... is a very excellent delivery system for like the knobs. Then you get a big brick of Squig Hog boys that can run around the sides too, wherever you need them to be. Plus, double Squigosaur guys too, right? So we have basically the only things on the table is just like 2 Squigosaurs, a huge unit of Squig Hog boys, and then a Gargantuan Squigoth. There's also like a little truck, but whatever, who cares? So you have like no really good targets. And then we have Cunning but Brutal on the Smash the Squig knob, so he can always get his Lance on his active on his unit because they can fall back and charge. Sick. Sick. Good old Gargantuan Squigothless. Is the Gargantuan Squigoth the way of the future, by the way? It's probably not, right? Just because it's so, like, physically difficult to maneuver around the table. But this thing is, it's like, unironically really good, right? Like, its datasheet is super pushed. I guess it doesn't have an invuln save, yeah. That's, like, that's the big downside. I got its datasheet here somewhere. There you are. No invuln save, just a 3+ armor, which is, it's not great. At least it's not 4-up, right? Being an orc unit, you kind of expect a 4-up. But it hits for 12 damage in melee. What? Why? Why does it hit so hard? And it's T13 with -1 to be wounded, probably. It feels like it's just good, you know? I wonder if you could run multiples. I get, like, clearly, right, Aaron Along went 1 with 2 of them a couple weeks ago. You could, like, maybe you could run 3. They're just, like, they're just so full of dangerous orc units, right? Like, I don't know. Like, move 10, advance and charge? Like, it's a real thing, chat. It feels like a real thing. Should I play 3 of them at some point? I feel like I should play 3. Joel plays that list every tournament. He had 2 at one point. Yeah. At what point do we just go, I don't know, play 3? And call it a day. Like, I wonder if what kills this thing, like, mass lethal hits stuff. You know, like, the like, aggressor brick or whatever. The Apothecary Biologus brick with, like, 5-up lethal hits. Just powers through its saves. T13 -1 to be wounded. That's like such a profile, man. Ooh. Woo. If it had a 5-up invuln save, I bet it would be unironically super dumb. Beat someone who was running 2. Not sure you can beat 1. Thousand Suns kill at 1 turn? Oh, yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I guess, like, Mortal Wounds is also, like, a danger, right? Because you could just drill, like, half of its health through with Doom Bolts and then just let Magnus do his thing. Fish for a bunch of devastatings. Yeah, okay. I get that. So, like, stuff that doesn't rely on the rote wound roll is probably, it feels like, is the weakness of the list, right? But anything that has to, like, roll to wounded is a little bit scary. But I could definitely see that being problematic with less Squigoths, right? Because then they have more stuff that just, like, clears out Rubric Marines and all your characters, and you're just like, no, this sucks. This melee profile, though, chat. Jesus Christ. I love it. It's strength 14. Ah! Lance. Oh my god. It's 18 3 damage attacks. Its weak profile is 18 3 damage attacks. It's so silly. I love it. I just love it. Can we look at Marshall Peterson from Rocky Mountain Open? Yeah. We can. Marshall Peterson. Uh, 4 and 2 with Astra Militarum. Is this the highest Militarum player? There are only 2 Militarum players. Oh no, Ben Urich went 5-1. Ben Urich did way better. Alright, what's Marshall playing over here? Death Rider Squadron Commander, another Death Rider Squadron Commander, another Death Rider Squadron Commander, Lord Solar Leontis, Tempestus command squads, 2 Primera Psychers. Oh, are we doing mechanized infantry, chat? Yes. It's catching on. We're doing it. Let's go. We need more Torox combos. A billion Adelan Rough Riders. Okay. And then a billion Death Riders and some Kesrigan. Plus triple Tempestus Ion. We get extra Tempestus Ions. We don't even need that many. We get extra Tempestus Ions for free. What is the difference of the Death Riders compared to the... I don't know if I have their data sheet downloaded. Compared to the Rough Riders, I think it's the question of the day that I have. They get a 6-inch reactive move. And they have a real mediocre lance attack. Okay, I guess they attack a lot. So they're probably like a little bit better at clearing infantry than the Rough Riders are, right? Because the Rough Riders, you just want to be hitting like the big D6 Melta-Lance swing. But the Death Riders are a little bit better at punching people. They used to have a Feel No Pain. They used to be really hard to kill. I guess they're not that much anymore. Yeah, they'll just vaporize. They're just a Space Marine scout that moves really fast. Whee! Let's go. But the Squadron Commander gives them Infiltrate. Okay. So we're dropping 30 of these idiots in the middle of the table. So we clear a lot of space for the vehicles to do their thing. And then they give them Devastating Wounds. Okay. All right. Well, that's fair. So they're getting like probably 20 to 30 Devastating Wound swings in. So they're probably good for 3 or 4 auto damage. Closer to 30, I think, because he has 5 by himself. That's pretty impressive. This dude's like the best melee character in Militarum besides Lord Solar, I guess. And he's got an order. Well, that list is cute, chat. That's a cute list right there. I wonder what he paired into. I'm kind of curious now. I love that there were only, in this huge event, I guess this is only page 1, right? Yeah, this is only top 32. There's 2 Militarum in the top 32, and one of them is this meme. Oh, this is not what I wanted to look at. Oh, he played the Peterson mirror match round 1. That's unfortunate. So he lost to Blood Angels. That makes sense. He lost to Blood Angels round 4. I guess that follows. Zach won the entire event and also is playing like the counter melee skew. He's like, oh, you want to infiltrate 30 Death Riders? All right. Just one-shot the entire unit with Death Company. 5 Death Company just go in and just vaporize your whole thing. He played... So he lost that game, and he lost the final game against Tau. Yeah, I imagine Cyclics are probably a nightmare, too. Oh, it's Triptides. Are there even Crisis team here? Just Broadsides and Riptides. That's all you need. Yeah, that's fair. They're actually really, really well suited at blowing up the Death Company or the Death Rider profile too. The like T4 2 wound. Yeah, I think anything that's like really good against that profile probably just falls over. It falls over too. While we're here though, let's take a look at Ben Urich's Militarum. Is it normal Militarum stuff? Oh, it is. Okay. Well, you can go watch my video from Monday if you want to hear about a list that's almost identical to that one. John went first and murdered the horses. Yeah, like, what do you do against, like, mass ion cannons, right? You're just like, guess I'll die. Like, I can't hide. I'm just on the table. I feel like a lot of lists have the ability to kill 60 Space Marine scouts. Even if they're fast and sometimes get to melee. They are very fast, though, right? Because you can, like, move them to go kind of insane distances. That seems pretty good. All right, chat. We can probably dive into one more, I think. Anybody have any requests? Anything that we want to look into? This has been an interesting week, though. The pure meme of these lists is great. I love them. That's a cool thing about... I was just having a discussion on the Discord yesterday. I think a cool thing about 10th edition is that the way that, like, tactical objectives work is, you know, as long as you've constructed an army that's able to complete its tacticals, and has some way of damaging the opponent, you actually, like, you don't really need to play meta, like hyper meta, to be good. And I think 10th edition feels like there's so much more skill expression available in the edition than in almost any edition previously, that you can like play out of your goddamn mind with like a bunch of garbage and throw it together and then beat like most of the really strong armies in the game. Or at least give them a run for your money. I don't think you're necessarily going to like out and out win with whatever you want, but your list composition has to be good, and if you're a good enough player, I think that you can win against basically any of these other archetypes, which is like super cool, you know? Like 10th edition has such a flexibility in its available builds that it's, I don't know, super sick. Blood Angels did well this week for once. Blood Angels they're going gangbusters recently. We just looked at Imperial Knights, chat. We just took a quick peek at some Imperial Knights. Do we look at the Armo Nids list, the Hierophant? Was it like, did it do good, or did it just die because it brought a Hierophant? Well, it's not in the top 32, so it probably didn't do that well. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to look through every Tyranid list for it. Anything good at Black Templars land? Yeah, Black Templars are one of the top performing factions this week. If you want to hear about some sweet Black Templars, look at my video from yesterday. Titan's ridiculous on the table. I mean, it is very big. Far too big, some might say, for what it is. It's also like way underpowered for the size and expense that it is too. That thing does stone nothing. It's super shitty. I don't know why it has like AP2 melee attacks for being like a 700 point unit or whatever. A little silly, chat. All right, we got some Thousand Suns. We talked about Thousand Suns though already in my video yesterday. I don't know how much we want to talk about Thousand Suns. There's not too much to talk about in Thousand Suns. All right, unless it's a cool Thousand Suns list. You ready, chat? We're gonna find a cool Thousand Suns list. Nah, it's normal. Boring. Boring. Didn't know it was a transport. Yeah, it like I don't know where it fits the guys too. It's a transport, but it's like real skinny. Like, where do they go? I guess they like hang on maybe. Like they like it's like a Harry Dan where they hang like the gargoyles hang off the sides. Maybe it's supposed to be like that, but Yeah, I don't know. It's super trash. Which is sad. Why are units that are thousands of points or hundreds of points and thousands of dollars, why are they so bad? Don't make them broken, but at least make them like fringe playable. Like, come on, man. What are you doing? I don't get it, chat. Eldari. Take a peek for Eldari. I don't know if I noticed mini Eldari, which is interesting because they're still good. People like dropped them like a rock. All right, we got a little Eldari action going on here. We got an X1 Eldari from Iberian Open. Gabriel Fernandez went 4-1. 4-1, right? Yeah, it was 6 rounds, but it had a top 2 cut. 4-1. Rocking Autarch Wayleaper, Avatar of Cain, Farseer, Wagon, Illic Nightspear, Solitary Yvrain. Illic Nightspear coming back in. Let's go. Plus Yvrain. 10 Storm Guardians. Okay. All right. That's a spicy meatball right there. I wonder who the Storm Guardians are attaching to. Sometimes we see Harlequin troops for Yvrain to join, which I think we are. Okay, they're there. Yep. All right, fair enough. So they might just be a super cheap bodyguard for the Farseer. I think they literally just are. I think that's what they're there for, because they get a little shield, the little shield guy. Bloop. 1 Wave Serpent, 1 Falcone for the Fire Dragons to jump into. So we get the somebody had a cool name for the combo. Just, I don't know, you're just shooting people with a Falcon. I don't really know if he needs a special name. Swooping Hawks, a Harlequin troop. So a lot of times we put Yvrain in there because they get +1 wound on the charge, and Yvrain makes them hard to kill, I believe is her thing. She gives them feel no pain. So they kind of like help each other out, because the Yvrain's actually melee profile is actually not that bad. She's just kind of low strength, which I think is the case for a lot of the random Eldar characters. Yeah, she's 5 attacks. She's only 4 strength, but she's AP 3/2 damage, 5 attacks. It's like not too bad. And then she gives everybody a 5+ feel no pain. So they got a 4+ invuln, 5+ feel no pain. They're kind of like a little Canoptic Wraith, and hits pretty hard. Triple Warp Spiders. So it's interesting that we've taken Yvrain for the sake of taking Yvrain. I guess she also returns people back to the table, which is cool. But we're not taking Drukhari, which is interesting. Fair enough, though. We also don't have Rangers for Illic Nightspear, so he's just a lone operative by himself, too. Which is cool. I wish that more characters did this, by the way, because it feels like it adds 2 units to the index rather than just 1, right? Like, you get a lone operative character. Oh, thanks, WAPD. I needed that. You get a lone operative character that you can take, but also if you need him to buff a unit, you can. And I think like this ability right here is like super sick. I wish they did that more often. It's like kind of weird that units like the Phobos Librarian don't have that, right? Where they're just like their leadership effect is modal, like it changes if you. It also applies to unit if you attach them, but it doesn't necessarily require leadership because it just gives you more options, right? And I wish they would do that more. So, I don't know. Illic Nightspear is super sick. Shocker. Cheap lone operative character is good. What a time to be alive. Been running the Vice Arc and Yvrain with a max tree squad. Oh, can they double attach? I didn't know that. That's cool. Visearch's like super sweet at melee, right? He's like unironically super sick. Oh no, he's actually not that great. He gains sustained 2, devastating or lethal. Okay, well, it's a little sad. He does get fights first. And yeah, he double attaches with your brain. Oh, that's cool. Another profile that benefits from +1 to wound, though. Going to winning on 5s with that guy definitely feels strong. Was it 9th edition that his profile was like super insane? But he just never saw play because you would never play him over a one of the Phoenix Lords. So he would just like take up your HQ slot, and you were just like, eh, I don't really want him. That was okay, I guess. I gave the Visearch a lot more credit than he deserved. Maybe I'm thinking of Azurman, who was always like a little funny that he was so good at fighting because he was like the shooty guy, but he had 6 strength 6 D3 like a sniper attacks basically, kind of nutty. All right, Visearch. Well, I mean, once you're attached to a troop unit, they can help you out there, buddy. You'll be okay. Awatark becomes useless if you play an RA. Oh, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, I forgot about that. Your rain is expensive though, as a buff for a troop unit. I mean, I guess like you're looking for a melee counterpunch, right? And then they just have it. It's a good unit for the Wave Serpent to deliver. So 265 points for that unit though is a lot, but they do hit pretty hard. Turning off invulns is definitely good at 9th. Yeah, especially because you had Fate Dice, right? So you could just auto sync it if you needed to. I played against him one time, I think, and I smited him to death with Hive Tyrants. It's like my one experience with the Visearch. I was like, oh, he looks scary. I'm gonna shoot him with mind bullets, and then he exploded. All right, chat. Well, I do have a lot of work to do, so I think we will have to wrap things up here momentarily. But thanks for everybody coming and hanging out. These lists were really cool this week. I think, I don't know. It feels like we're in a pretty healthy spot. The armies that are doing well feel like they are not unbeatable. It's interesting to see Grey Knights at the position that they're at right now. I'm interested to see if whether that's a fluke or whether we'll see them continue to do well. And also Necrons and Custodes, the factions that everyone was really worried about doing super well, kind of getting answered a little bit. Space Marines killing everyone is a little surprising, but not that surprising. I think Space Marines are really good this edition. What am I trying to say? The heavy infantry factions like Custodes definitely feel like they're getting just meta'd out pretty hard right now. We didn't see any undefeated Custodes this week, I believe, and they did okay. But the number of like solid anti-infantry clearing weapons that people are tacking into their list right now. I mean, we just talked yesterday about a Thousand Suns list running Forge Fiends, right? And like those guys just destroy Custodians. We watched on stream over the weekend mass ion cannon hammerheads destroys Custodes, and I think that's kind of pushing that faction down pretty heavily, which is good because it means that they're not quite as prevalent to answer the other melee factions that exist. And so we're also seeing the melee factions do fairly well. So things seem pretty wide open right now, which is kind of super cool. Yeah. A lot of experimentation going on. Yeah, definitely. For sure. Well, folks, I think we're going to call that a stream for today. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'm going to be leaving tonight to head over to Adepticon. If you're at Adepticon this week, then come hang out with me. I think we're booth 913, I want to say. We're next to the stairs with Breachstorm. So if you want to get a Breachstorm demo and talk shop, then I'm there all weekend. So please come hang out. But anyway, folks... I'll see you then. I do not believe that I will be releasing a Best Armies in 40K video next week because I will be actively driving back from Adepticon, so I don't have a way to do that. I may do one later in the week, but I'm not sure yet. There is a non-zero chance that I will also not be live next Tuesday either if I'm still traveling, but I should probably be back by then, so I will most likely do a little recap. We'll have a good recap stream next Tuesday, assuming that I'm back, which is going to be the game plan. How long till GW messes it up? Well, the next data slate probably. Yeah, I don't know. I guess what's the next faction after Tau? Chaos Space Marines. Chaos Space Marines have never destroyed the metagame before, so we'll be fine. We'll be fine. Everything will be okay. All right, chat. That's going to be it for me. Remember to keep it classy, folks. Have happy wargaming, and I will see you in the next one. And I'll see you at Adepticon if you're there. Come hang out with me.